What's going on, Instagramly and friends? This is Talented Tuesdays, brought to you by the GoldenKey Foundation. My name is QuiySpeaks, aka Mr. 215-305, aka Mr. One Chain. We have our guest here, Marlo, but before I introduce her, I'm just going to break down the ground rules just like I do every week, and that is the comment section below that you see right there. Keep it positive, crystal clear. We want to keep the negativity out of there. Feel free to comment questions, concerns, anything that you want to know more about Marlo that you think I might not have gotten to. But without further ado, we are here for Talented Tuesdays. We do have a guest every week. Here's our guest. I want you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about where you're from and why you're here right now.
Okay. My name is Marlo Rodriguez, and I'm an actress and a spoken word artist. Currently, I'm an FAU theater student. And I'm here with the honor to be on Talented Tuesdays to talk about art and what I like to do and my beliefs in arts. And yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure. You are the first. Now, this is the first question because we were having this debate because I see a lot more women that are referred to as actors. And when I grew up, it was men are actors, women are actresses. So what do you call yourself, an actress or an actor, or does it even matter?
I think I refer to both because I never really pay attention because generally most people say that person's an actor. Right. But if you want to get into technicalities, actors are men and actresses are women, but who really cares about gender roles
I act. Right, okay.
That's all.
So I just wanted to get that. That was like one of the last questions, but I felt as though why not get it out the way now? So which came first, your passion for acting or poetry? Because you are a multifaceted, talented person here.
They actually both started at the same time when I was in middle school, I think it was. It was during summertime, and I just remember I was going through a lot at home during that time of my life, and so I wanted something to do, and I was never good at sports. I tried many sports, and it was not my thing. And so I wanted to do other things. And I remember I was on YouTube, and I just happened to watch a spoken word video. And I was like, "Oh, this is really good. I want to be able to do this, like perform and speak eloquently, and have people relate to what I'm saying and move people." And then, in the same token, I was developing a passion for theater and performing because it's very similar to spoken word and poetry. Like you can move people through your performance. Right. So both of those intrigue me at the same time.
And they're both important too because, you know, like you said, you were going through a lot and this was kind of your way of filtering what you were going through and try to transcend that energy into something more positive, which is very important for me. Because like when I got into poetry, it was the opposite. Like I always saw people who performed, but I was always, that was what kind of like made me pull back from the poetry because I was like, oh, I don't want to say it out loud.
Really?
Yeah, I was a very shy person growing up, so it's like that was kind of what like made me retract from it. But like now growing up, I see it's like, hey, you got to get over it. But it's like for you, you said 8th grade.
Yeah, but I was always shy, and I'm still a very shy person.
Hard to tell.
I'm very shy and awkward, but I love poetry and acting a little bit more than I'm comfortable being shy, you know? It's one of those type of things.
So you kind of just like, so what is something that you do, because everybody has those nerves when you first get up on stage or you first get into a crowd and start to speak. What is something that you do to kind of like shake those nerves?
Music really helps me, listening to music, but lately is meditating, like right before I have to perform. If I have time, I'll take 15 minutes of quiet time and just meditate and pray before my performances in order to relax myself and know that everything's gonna go as planned, you know?
One of our guests, I would say a couple weeks back, said something that really works for her. It's just once you get up there, like, yeah, she does the music too, like right before, but once she's up there and it's like no turning back, just tell yourself a couple times, like, you the shit. And it's like, And that kind of just like makes her feel better. Just like,
well, the music I listen to is like my bad bitch playlist.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, so like
I got this.
And I laughed. I laughed when she said, I was like, wow, okay, that's why haven't I tried that? So like I did that.
It helps.
Yeah, I did that actually last Thursday. We went to some open mic night at some lounge, and I was just like, once I got up there, I looked at everybody. I was like, dang, it's a lot of people in here, and I was like, you the shit. And I just kind of laughed it off. People wondering why I'm laughing. I'm just talking in my head, laughing out loud. It's kind of funny.
Mind over matter.
Yeah, mind over matter for sure. So, what are like some of the things that you mainly? We're gonna touch on the poetry for right now. So, what are some of the main things that you find yourself writing about, or what's like your muse to writing your poetry?
Well, I always have to feel inspired in order to start writing, and it's very hard to find inspiration sometimes because I'll be so stressed and busy with the world and everything that's going on. But sometimes I'll get inspiration from random things, like something somebody will say or do, and then I'll think about it, and then it'll just spark something, and I'll just write in one sitting. But I like to write about what I experience. Which I want to become a writer who can write about many things, not like outside of my experience, because my ultimate goal is to reach people who are nothing like me. I think that's so powerful and important to be able to do, like empathize and connect with people who are very different from you.
Very important.
But as of now, it's usually things I experience, and then I can elaborate on it and try to make it more relatable, so it's less personal. Sometimes I feel like it's become more therapeutic for me to write for others than to just write for myself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's that scared me a little bit. The backdrop started moving. Right. So for the people who are just tuning in, just to remind you guys, this is Talented Tuesdays, the GoldenKey Foundation. Feel free to leave comments, ask any questions that you think that I'm missing. If you want to know more about Marlo as we go on with the interview, drop some comments. We got some comments already. You're so talented, Miss Rodriguez.
Thank you.
We have some more comments. I'm your biggest fan. Wendy Williams, which we needed clarification, but we later found that clarification. So moving on to the next question. What are some of your short-term goals and long-term goals for the acting?
Short-term goals is to take vocal lessons, also take dance classes. I've learned recently that you have to be in your best shape. It's such a competitive industry, like any job really, but you have to be the top of your game in all aspects. Somebody's more hireable if they can act, sing, and dance and communicate well with people, like all those things, rather than just having one you concentrate on solely. So my short-term goal is this summer taking dance classes and vocal classes, which I've already started. I'm speaking with a vocal coach, so that's in the process. Yeah, and also just taking care of my health more, being healthier. I feel like in all aspects that'll help my performances and all of that.
Being an abundance of wealth. We were talking about this a few weeks back, like having an abundance of wealth, like being wealthy in health, wealthy in positive relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
Just wealthy. A lot of times we only think about monetary wealth, but there are so many other aspects of wealth. And one of those things is definitely health and mental health as well.
Yeah. And long-term goals. Really, I want to be able to have my own brand. I want to create a platform for myself, because there are so many things we were talking about earlier, the public school education system, the way it's so unfair and it's just blatantly racist. And there's a lot of things that I want to talk about and bring awareness to. And I feel like it'll be more received if I have a platform. Like people are more willing to listen if you have more of a platform. So I definitely want to get that created for myself and speak on those things, but also through acting.
I agree with that. Like having a platform already established definitely makes it a lot easier to reach more people.
Yeah.
Which is why I get so upset with like entertainers and professional athletes who have this platform but choose to do nothing with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's definitely important. So would you agree with would you agree with this? One of our guests said that Miami and other cities in Florida could be such cold cities, and what she meant by that was, it's kind of like yeah, we kind of collab here and there, but it's like at the end of the day, you're on your own. Do you kind of get that vibe as well?
I definitely get that vibe. Yeah. It's just people are, I don't know if it's Miami's culture, but I think it is a Miami thing because that's really all I've experienced. I've visited other places where people, artists particularly, are more welcoming and let's collab. But down here in South Florida, I feel like everybody's like, you're on your own, rather than it's not a collectively supportive thing. It's very hard to find people like yourself who's artists collaborating and, helping each other out. I feel like it's such a refreshing and important thing to do. It's easier to make a difference as a group than individually.
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the, I know when we were talking about why I started Talented Tuesdays, one of them was for the youth, but another thing was to give up and coming artists and talented people, my bad, y'all, was giving up and coming artists and talented folks around the area a platform, but also to be able to connect with each other. So like, you may see another episode from next week, or you may see past episodes, and you might want to think, hey, that person is interested, maybe I want to collab with them. And that person being on the show, you automatically have something in common. It will make it even more easier for you guys to collab. So that was something that I was hoping to do as well. But another thing is you see a lot of people who want to collab, but then it kind of like just falls off. Like nothing ever happens after that. So it's like, hopefully, I really want to try to change that culture and bring people together to where we can feel a lot easier to collab and reach out to each other. So it starts with us, right?
It does, definitely.
So how would you connect your poetry and your acting? How would the two connect? Because you're doing both, and I'm sure you don't. Do you live separate lives with the writing and the acting, or do they kind of intertwine in some way?
I feel like I kind of live separate lives with them. As far as when I'm busy with acting, that's all I do. I have late rehearsals and then I have class during the day, and so I feel like I don't have time to write. I'm too exhausted, and writing can sometimes be a tiring thing for me. Usually because I'm writing from experience of different things, but in terms of, I feel like poetry helps me be more in tune with my emotions and my feelings and vulnerable. And that's very important in acting. You have to be able to be vulnerable on a stage in front of people. So when I'm vulnerable in my poetry, it makes it easier for when I have to be vulnerable in a scene with people. Okay.
That's interesting. So just so y'all know, we are talking about acting.
Yes.
As you see, the lighting is very different than the past episodes of Talented Tuesdays. We are in, what would you call this?
We are in Studio 2 Theater. This is our black box theater where we have small performances and shows.
Yep. So welcome to Boca.
Welcome to Boca.
So, all right. Welcome, Dr. TJ3. I see you just popped in. We also have I saw a question from Miss AK85 who asked, do you have any projects that are coming up?
Yes, I do.
So talk about those projects that you have coming up.
I'm working on an EP of my poetry. I released my poetry over, I find an instrumental and I record my poetry over it. So it's like a song, but not really. It's spoken word over music. And I post them. And so right now I have a few that I haven't posted yet. It's been like a year since I've posted, because I want to create a quality EP, and I plan on dropping that very soon, hopefully June the latest. But it's called Soft Spoken, and it's for people who have a lot to say and don't know how, because I found myself in that situation a lot where there's things that I want to talk about and things that I want to express, but I don't necessarily know how to express it. And so this upcoming EP is just basically me saying everything.
Right.
Yeah. I
would definitely, just the way you even elaborated that whole project was just wow, because I would definitely recommend it for people who, like myself, when you first started writing poetry, you just don't know how to say things. And I felt I could curse you out in person, but it's when I put it on paper, it's I realized, wow, my vocabulary is way stronger when I write things down than when I actually try to say it right then and there.
Yeah, so you find out a lot about yourself.
You find a lot about yourself. And I was like, wow, I wrote this, I said that. So you said it's called Soft Spoken?
Yes, Soft Spoken.
Soft spoken, be ready.
Be ready.
So I'm gonna make sure that I include that in the bio, YouTube, and
be ready.
Be ready. You hear the audience? Be ready. So, is that your most recent project that you're working on?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any like past projects that you might have just dropped recently? You want to talk about those as well?
Well, as far as poetry, I have a SoundCloud. Follow me, Marlo Vashti, MarloVashti, and that's where I have like 8 poems on there.
Spell it for me on there so we can drop it in there. I'm gonna have her drop it so y'all can see it.
Yeah, and if you go on my Instagram, I also have the link in my... Actually, I don't know if I have the link in my bio. I'm not sure. But you'll find me on SoundCloud. But as far as poetry, nothing recently. What I just finished recently was a show called Why Torture is Wrong and the People Who Love Them, which was done in here, Studio 2 Theater. That just closed this weekend. And that was a fun process, a long, hard-working process. And it was a good show.
Amazing show.
Amazing show. You heard it here. So, is there anything else that you're looking to get out of your writing poetry? Like, is it just kind of taking it step by step, just putting things out, dropping EPs, or is there like a bigger picture that you see for your poetry?
The bigger picture I see is activism through art. All of my poems that I've released is about myself, about individual experiences or relatable things, but I really want to touch on the grand scheme of it all. Like, I really believe in activism, and I feel like I'm a decent writer, so I want to incorporate the two and bring social awareness to so many injustices that are going on in our own neighborhoods, not just around the world. And so that's the bigger picture. Like, I want these poems to go viral, but I want them to be educating people about a lot of things they don't even know that's going on.
Have you ever heard of Prince EA? Mm-mm. Wow, like I just heard of him too, so I'm like saying wow, like I'm shocked. Like I just heard of him like maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So he's like on YouTube and he has like 10 million subscribers, and I'm just like, why am I just now hearing of him? But he literally sued the school system. Like he does spoken word. Mm-hmm. So he had like this big elaborate, like you could tell he put time into this video. So he does this video where he's like a prosecutor and the person on trial is the school system. And he like uses this poem to like sue the school system, and you really like feel like you're in the court with him. Like,
that's nice.
Going through all this stuff. He even compares like modern cars to cars 150 years ago, and then later brings up a picture of a classroom now from a classroom 150 years ago and talks about how nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I would just say look up Prince EA. I just sued the school system on YouTube.
I'll definitely check
so
that out.
I don't want to spoil nothing else. Let me just say that. We got some comments. I love that concept, activism through art. That is that's an artistic way of even putting it, activism through art. Would you consider yourself an activist? That's a question for you.
I don't think so. I don't think I can claim that title yet. I feel like there's so much, like to call yourself an activist, you really have to, I feel like, do a lot. And at this point, like I talk about these things, I talk about these issues, but there's so much more than just talking about it, like going out and making fundraisers and going to protests and all that stuff. And
like being on the front line.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't consider myself an activist yet, just because I've been so busy with school and everything, but that's not an excuse to not be a good person and do what you can when you have the opportunity to.
I agree. Yeah. That deserves a clap.
Thanks.
But I like so you separate activism and being an activist. So one can participate in activism without being an activist.
I think so.
So you're saying that there's work involved. Obviously, there's work involved in considering yourself an activist, which is fair. And a lot of people don't even admit that. A lot of people like to call themselves activists and I call themselves woke. But it's like nowadays. It's always
the self-proclaimed
if you gotta proclaim it yourself.
Yeah.
Is it true? I think it's really true when people start to proclaim these things for you.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I think like even now with the word woke, I'm getting off topic, but even with the word woke, like we throw it out so much that now people even started to like taint what it really means.
Definitely.
Like I'm woke, and now they're using it as like to make themselves better than the next person. Well, I'm more woke than you
now
are.
it's like a negative connotation to me. It's like
so
people get so caught up in titles. You just have to do the right thing.
Yeah, just do the right thing
and do the work behind it.
So, who would you say is your favorite writer? This doesn't have to be a poet. It could be even like a screenwriter.
My favorite writer is Alicia Harris. She's a spoken word poet. And it was actually one of her poems called From Head to Toe. No, it wasn't From Head to Toe. I'm trying to think of the name of it. This is so bad. But Alicia Harris, she's an amazing spoken word artist, and it was one of her, it was called That Girl. And that poem was beautiful, and it was the first like spoken word performance I had ever seen. And so that's what really inspired me. And she's just an amazing woman. I look up to her. And I got the opportunity to meet her because she performed at FIU like 3 years ago. And it was amazing.
FAU or FIU?
FIU, Florida
FIU.
International.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, would you say that she's your favorite because you relate to her style the most, or what is it that attracts you to her work more than anybody else's?
I think it's the honesty behind it. When she performs, you can really see that she's just bearing it all from the soul. And I respect that so much because it takes so much courage to be honest and stand in your truth and be proud about it. And she really does that as an artist. I feel like she definitely changed his life. She changed my life because that introduced me to poetry. And that's really helped me.
So back to tying poetry in with acting. Even though a lot of people say acting is being able to fake it. Would you say that acting strengthened your ability to really express yourselves when delivering a poem or piece?
Yeah, I think acting has made me a better person because contrary to popular belief, it isn't really about faking it. It's about being honest. Acting is really just an imitation of everyday life. Like the things you see on TV, a lot of them are like exaggerated, the crazy heist and all that stuff. But when you get down to the natural human reactions and everyday relationships and everything, it's really acting is just a study of human behavior and how we talk in the real world, but for some reason when we get on stage, people think it's not necessarily genuine when it's exactly what we do in our regular everyday lives. So I feel like acting has definitely made me more observant and understanding of myself and of other people.
Good way to say it. You got all the nuggets on point today. So I just see Just Herson tuned in. Thanks for tuning in to Talented Tuesdays, bro. You know the deal. Ask any questions that you think I don't have that you think I'm missing. But we do have some questions from our viewers. One is, who or what inspired you towards acting? So we kind of talked about the poetry. What or who really inspired you to start acting? I know you said it all began in 8th grade.
Yes. I don't think it was a specific person or an actor or actress who really inspired me initially to begin. It was just I happened to be in a drama class and it was an elective, and I was always uncomfortable in my skin and I was always very awkward. And we did improv games and we were just able to be silly on stage, and I felt so comfortable and I was like, I really enjoy this feeling. And so ever since then, I just continued doing drama and acting and, entertaining people. And when I got older and I started taking it more seriously, I realized that this is one of the things that I always want to act, no matter where life takes me, because it just makes me so happy. And it's like a safe place for me. So now I would say an actress who inspires me is Viola Davis, a queen. I love her, and I really admire her.
Viola Davis?
Yes, wonderful actress.
See, now I'm bad at names, so if you can help me out, what are some of her most?
Viola Davis is the lead actress in How to Get Away with Murder. She was in Doubt. What was another?
Once you said that, I know who she is.
Yeah, How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah.
our queen, our attorney. The Help, she was also in.
She was in Help?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I gotta rewatch the movie now.
Yeah, you gotta.
So, all right. So, we talked about your recent projects with poetry. While we're on the acting tip still, do you have any shows that are coming up? Any plays that are coming up or anything like that?
No, I just finished.
You just finished?
Yeah. So right now I'm taking a break. Not necessarily a break, but just resting because I did like 2 shows back to back, sort of kind of 3 shows back to back. And so that was like 3 months of rehearsing from like 5 to 10 or 6 to 11 every night. So I'm finally done with all that. And right now I haven't had any other auditions for anything. And I just want to give myself like 2 weeks of working on my classes because it's finals. And just chillaxing.
So are you allowed to talk to us about what that play was about?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind sharing it, like what was that? First tell us what the play was about, what was it called, and then share with us what that experience was like.
Okay. The play is called Why Torture is Wrong and the People Who Love Them. And it was written by Christopher Durang and directed by a student here. Her name is Maria Barrow Singh, and student directed. And it's a satire. It's about this young woman named Felicity who I had the honor of playing, and she wakes up in this hotel room next to this foreign man that she doesn't recognize, and she finds out within the first 10 minutes that they apparently met at Hooters and they got drunk and they got married. And she wants to get out of the marriage because she doesn't know this man. But when she brings that up, he gets aggressive and starts threatening her. So the whole show is her trying to get out of the marriage by going to her parents, who are very, I don't want to call them crazy, but they're not your average parents. So it turns into this huge ordeal. The father is a gun-slinging, patriotic man. The mother's like a Stepford wife, and she's really not present with her daughter. So it's like everybody's in their own heightened world, and Felicity is just trying to get her happy ending that she wants.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like preparing for the play, getting into that character?
Well, the experience was long, but I'm so grateful for it. It was my first time getting a lead role in a full-length play, and so it was a big responsibility, and I learned a lot from the process. I learned how to trust myself. I learned that I need to be confident in myself in acting in order to do a good job, and just really confident in myself in everyday life. That was definitely one of the biggest lessons I've learned. And also trusting my cast. Like you're only as good as your weakest link. You know how they say that in sports. But really about just believing in our cast and working together and being able to work with kindness. And it just really taught me a lot of people skills. And
so like what's a method that you use to remember all your lines? Because I know, like, well, first of all, how long was this play? And it's like
those lines,
right? Tell us about it.
I'm still traumatized. I'll have conversations with my friends, and they'll say something that's similar to a line in my show, and then I think of the whole the next line. The play was 66 pages long.
Okay.
And I remember that because my character had lines in almost all of them. So it was very nerve-wracking. But for me, memorization is really just reading it over and over again. Like, you have to know what you're saying, and then you also have to know what the other person is saying because they're your cues.
Right.
So just rehearsing with my friends, having them help me out, like read lines with me. It was a very long process getting those lines down, but I did it.
You did it.
I did it.
And part of that is because, like you said earlier, having confidence in yourself.
Definitely.
Because if you wasn't confident, there's no way that you can remember that.
Yes. Everything is definitely mind over matter. If you have to know that you've done the work. And you have to do the work. And then you have to acknowledge that you did it. And you got this.
So do you give yourself Do you give yourself praises and pats on the back often? Because I feel as though that's important.
It is important. I don't. I'm really hard on myself because I always feel like I could be better. Because I feel like everybody, we never really reach our peak. We can always do better.
You can always do better. Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I need to get better with, like, not being so hard on myself all the time because sometimes criticism can only hurt you rather than make you better. Like, you have to find the balance in everything.
True. So, do you have a preferred role that you rather... Do you have a preferred character that you like to play? That was actually one of the questions that I had, but Miss AKA85 also asked, like, what's your favorite type of character? My question was, what's your preferred role?
Okay. I prefer dramas more than comedies. I feel like comedy is more difficult for me to play because humor isn't... In acting, they tell you you can't try to be funny. You just have to fall into it. Like, you have to find the humor naturally in something. And I think I'm hilarious off the stage, but on the stage, it's just... it's a struggle. So I definitely prefer dramatic roles. Okay. I feel like I'm much more comfortable in it, which is strange because when I started doing drama and theater, I was into comedic. That's what I like to do. I loved improv and being silly, but now I think, now it's like I'm more comfortable with dramatic pieces.
So that's a twofer for Miss AK85. She answered two of your questions at one time. So Dr. TJ3 had another question. Has acting helped you in spoken word, like in terms of delivery? And which we already kind of touched on this. So for Dr. TJ3, if you could just quickly elaborate on how acting has helped your delivery in poetry.
Acting has helped my delivery in poetry a lot, just because I feel like poetry holds a lot of emotion behind it. So both of them help each other out. I have to be comfortable and vulnerable and open. And so when I act, it's very similar to when I do spoken word. And also just helps with my speaking. I feel like acting, you have to be a good speaker. You have to be good at communicating, and same with spoken word. So I feel like hand in hand, they help each other out.
And so you're, like I said earlier, you're a multifaceted, talented person. So you're good at poetry, you do acting now. Do you have any other hidden talents that you don't talk about or that people don't know that you're good at?
I enjoy painting.
Really?
Yes. It's very relaxing for me. Very relaxing.
Like, what do you typically paint? Do you paint like people? Do you paint scenes? Do you paint abstract?
I like to paint people, but like cartoony people, because I'm not an artist that's drawing. Yeah. I'm not that great at it yet. I want to be, but I like to do like Boondocks characters. Like, I like to do characters from cartoons and stuff like that.
So you go all out. You get a canvas. You get brushes.
But paint. I left them home. They're not in my dorm with me, so I haven't in a while.
You need those for you time. You just said you wanted 2 weeks of you time.
Right, you're right. I also like to paint album covers, like mixtape covers. That's fun for me.
What mixtape covers have you painted so far?
Isaiah Rashad, The Sun's Tirade. I did that one. And then I did 10 Day, Chance the Rapper.
I was about to ask if you did any Chance the Rapper covers. Cause
I love Chance.
Chance's covers be just artistic in itself. Yes. So if you paint that, I wanted to... Did you do a coloring book yet?
No, not yet. I did 10 Day and I did Acid Rap. But I have to do coloring book. I just have to get the canvas for it because I have them like on my wall. They're like the same size. So I want to get coloring book and put it in the middle.
Look, if you get, I would like to see the
it's not all that, but like it's good. I have to tell people I'm like Chance the Rapper, 10 Day, and they're like, oh, okay.
So I have just a couple more questions, but keep on flooding the questions on here as well. We got about like 15, 20 minutes left, so get y'all questions in there. I have a couple more questions, and then we're going to did you figure out what you
Yes.
You did? Okay, so we're going to give her a couple minutes at the end to spit a little something for us. We're not going to tell you what she's spitting yet, whether it could be something on the acting side, it could be something on the poetry side. That's a surprise. So, who are some of your favorite musical artists that have also inspired your poetry? That's a question from Notorious WIG.
Yes, Notorious Wig. Chance the Rapper definitely was. It still is my favorite rapper. The way he writes, he's so lyrical, and I like his flow, and I like how he's so poetic with it and his style. He was definitely one of the rappers who inspired me to write, and Kendrick Lamar as well, but mainly was Chance who really started it. And Chance is definitely the big inspiration. Like, I would listen to his stuff and then I'll be inspired and I'll write something afterwards.
Yeah, I started like Chance also is getting into humanitarianism as well.
Definitely.
So like I respect that. And at first I used to not like I used to not see the hype in Drake that everybody else seen, right? But it's like, I gotta admit, what he did with God's Plan,
okay,
the video. I'm talking about the video. I'm not even talking about. I know we on lyrics. We on lyricists like Chance, Kendrick, J. Cole. We on lyricists. But I gotta still give props to Drake for what he did in that God's Plan.
That is very true.
And he set the tone for like, in terms of what I was talking about, using that platform to give back and to do something with that platform. He definitely kind of set the tone this year for entertainers and what they should be doing in terms of giving back to the communities in which they entertain.
I agree.
You made a face though. You had some kind of quarrel against Drake.
I don't know. Like, I listened to Drake, but when people would tell back in the day, but now I know better. Back in the day, when people would tell me Drake was their favorite rapper, I'd be like, of all the rappers? But I mean, he's good. He's good.
He's just good.
He's just not, in my opinion, as lyrical as other rappers. But God's Plan made me feel some type of way. I was like, wow.
Yeah, you look
I
at it
respect.
like, dang, like he did this.
Yes, definitely.
But I will agree, like he's not. I wouldn't say put him up there with like.
I wouldn't, and people do.
People do, but I don't understand why.
I don't either. I'm just like,
but you got to understand, like now we have artists like Lil Uzi, Lil Yachty, Lil Boat. He's the same person, but he got two different names. But you got these artists that really don't have any substance. So we got some comments for you. Nicole Double E said, "Look at my queen." She said she loves you.
That's my roommate.
Oh, really?
Love you too.
Welcome, Rumi. Welcome to the show. This is Talented Tuesdays, brought to you by the GoldenKey Foundation. Thank you for tuning in. How much do you love Beyonce? Notorious Wig asked.
I love Beyonce.
You love Beyonce?
I like Beyonce.
You like?
I don't.
What made you change it from love to like?
Because love is a strong word. I like Beyonce. I think she's a wonderful performer, an amazing singer. I like her, but I'm just not like a huge Beyonce stan like a lot of people are.
Dr. TJ is not sure if you answered this yet, but I know you answered this, which is, what is your ultimate goal in acting? Like plays, movies, TV series. I know we talked about it a little bit before we got on live. If you wanted to actually begin writing, what we didn't talk about, was it writing plays? Was it writing movies, dramas, TV series?
I think I want to start writing plays, but I would definitely like to start in the future. I want to be able to write series and films. That would be amazing, but ultimately, I want to be an actress. That's performing is my favorite. I also want to direct, because I used to direct in high school. I really enjoyed that a lot. But theater and film, I enjoy both. That's what I want to continue doing.
But you could be even like the next Spike Lee though, right?
That's true, except Marlo Rodriguez.
Exactly. Your own brand. You're dope is what Dr. TJ3 said.
Thank you.
And would you be interested in doing music videos? It's a question from Miss AK85.
As far as like being in music videos? Yeah.
Music videos?
Or like, I also want to direct music videos.
Direct music videos. Have you even considered like, because like I've been interested in this whole new wave of creating music videos for spoken word.
Yes.
So like I recently did one for one of my pieces called Your Favorite Rapper. It was something very different.
Was that your first one? I watched one of them.
Yeah, it was. No, not my first one. That one was called Sugar Walls.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
So this one was more so like just coming at the rap industry now and basically calling all these rappers cards on misogyny and materialism and all kinds of stuff like that. So I wanted that was different than what the first one was. That was just me like, I got a camera, let me record myself doing random things and just put an audio over it. But this one was more geared towards actually like making it into a music video. So like maybe that was something that you're interested in, making music videos out of your spoken word?
I really do want to do that. I've been wanting to do that for a while. It's just finding the people to help me out, because about filming and all that stuff, you know, a lot of people, like we were speaking about earlier, yes, we're gonna do this, and then it falls off. And it's like, what happened?
Right.
But that is something I definitely want to do, and I also want to direct music videos.
Direct music videos?
Yeah.
So all right. I'm like trying to think like what will be the difference in like experience wise, like directing a music video versus directing like a short film. Would it be any different? Because you kind of like directing a music video, you kind of really have to get the vision of the artist. So
yeah. I feel like I would enjoy directing a music video more than a short film, however. Because
artists are a lot like, I feel like artists just period, like their thought process is just like not all over the place, but all over the place. So it kind of would be fun, kind of like putting their thoughts into it.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have with a song, you'd probably have a lot more creative opportunities to do really whatever you want with the song, rather than a short film. I think, in my opinion.
So we got a good question for you, and that is, how does your castmates affect your acting?
Greatly. Definitely. Which I'm so big on energy, and like we gotta trust each other and be kind to one another, because I mean, yeah, definitely, like it's a team effort. Like, yes, some people, it's a team effort. Even when I go see shows, it's like collectively everybody has to work well together in order for the show to be successful. So if one person's off, everybody else has to work extra hard in order to get that person back in the right headspace that they need to be in.
Okay, so this is the curtain call. Look, isn't it like theater terms? Okay. This is the curtain call for last questions. I'm gonna ask my last question. It's the question that you all are familiar with. You may be familiar with it if you tuned into the show before, but that is the red pill or the blue pill. So if you could take the red pill, you would go forward 10 years and you would have $5 million liquid cash in your bank account. Where if you take the blue pill, you go back 10 years, but you know everything that you know now. Which pill would you take?
I would take the blue pill.
Go back.
Yeah.
Okay, why would you go back?
Yes. Wait, I have to rethink. I said that so fast. No, I would take the blue pill. I feel like knowing what I know now, I realize I've gotten in my own way, like with a lot of opportunities and different things. And I feel like if I were to go back and do things, but then now I'm thinking, but everything is the way it is for a reason, and why would you change fate? Nah, still I'm gonna change fate. I'm gonna go back and do things. Yeah. And by the time it's the 10 years later, I already have my 5 million if I do things the way I know now.
Very similar answers to a lot of the people who answered blue pill. And then even when you said, like, when you were thinking about going to the red pill because you didn't want to change fate, that was some of the reasons why people went to the red pill. So I just think it's interesting. That's just one of the questions that I like to ask.
Which would you choose?
I would choose when I first started Talented Tuesdays and I asked this question, it was always the blue pill. But some people
They changed their mind?
They threw me off and had me think like, dang, red pill, do I want to change fate? Because when I was thinking like I could go back, because if I know everything I know now, I'm not just thinking of like the skills that I have and what I know I want to do for myself. I'm thinking of Super Bowls that were won, and I'm like, I can bet on this.
Finesse.
Yeah, I can finesse. Like,
Wow.
I was thinking about the finesse. So that was me. And then people made me feel guilty about the finesse. So I was like, maybe the red pill wouldn't be bad. But nah, I'm still with the blue pill. So as we said, it's the curtain call for last questions. We have 2 questions for you. So this is the last 2 questions, ladies and gentlemen. The first question is, have you ever had a situation where there was a conflict with the cast, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, there's been, because people are people. So there's always, it's inevitable for conflict to rise. But the best way about handling things is communicating the issue, talking it out, and then agreeing to move on from it and do better next time, whatever it may be. Okay, so this poem I wrote a couple months ago, it's called Manifesto. When you ask me who I am, know that I am horny jazz and honey hips, sugar skin and red lips, fluffy hair and brown thighs. My name is Marlo Vashtai, raised in the home of a mother and father who like water and oil do not mix. Nobody wins when the family feuds has never been a myth. Raised in the middle passage of 3 languages, so when I articulate, my tongue is sharp and precise like a needle on a vinyl. I believe in activism through art. I can speak on it all night long like Mr. Lionel, because that's how revolutions always start. Writing freedom in my poems is the only way I know it's mine. I first heard Erykah Badu sing when I was 10 years old and understood that I would grow up to be some type of Negro spiritual Baduism divine. Bag lady, the way I stay in it, add some sass minus the math, that's how I flip it. Make you fall like your favorite season, that's how I'm different. I will cradle your hand-me-down heart next to mine. Use my aura to match yours so in bed our climax will always coincide. I've made a lover out of a soldier before. It gave me bragging rights and pride. That's why I'm so frank when I talk about my pink matter, just like Black lives. My great-grandmother was a dancer in Havana. If you look closely, you can see her swing in my hips when I walk on by. Though hip-hop is still my favorite type of company, in the club, best believe I'ma still hit my Dougie. Rest assured you ain't never knew someone like me. My style is unequivocally Marlo, can never be recreated or properly demonstrated, no longer need recognition to know that my art is validated. I got all these curls and all this nerve. I got all these words and still no tour. I got all this joy 'cause I'm that girl. When you ask me who I am, know that I am intricate and unforgettable like your first love, the kind of woman your mother wants you to marry, but you never believed in magic, until now. When you ask me who I am, know that I am Marlo Vashtai, flawed and still worthy, black and still sweet without sugar or cream, a godly woman, an artist, worth all the pandemonium and all the in-betweens. Thank you.